We are pleased to introduce tonight's reader. A lifelong student of the arts, Harley Elliott received his BA from Kansas Wesleyan University in art and English and an MA in painting from Highlands University, Las Vegas, New Mexico. Early in his career, he was a book designer at Syracuse University Press from 1968 to 1970, and later taught art as an assistant professor at Salina's Marymount College for 13 years. After Marymount, he served as the education coordinator at the Salina Art Center for more than a decade. Today, he is a well-known Kansas visual artist and poet. Harley is the author of 13 books. 11 of those are poetry titles, including 2 books published in 2020, The Mercy of Distance, New and Selected Poems, and Creature Way. He is the author and illustrator of a children's book, The Tiger's Spots, and of a memoir, Loading the Stone.
Hi and welcome. I write poems. I'm going to read some. I'd like to thank everybody that made this possible. Right now, I'm here in my moment, and you're in your moment somewhere else. As you're watching this, you're in your moment, and I'm in that moment somewhere else. The fact that science can bring all this together into a kind of a hybrid moment that you are now watching is kind of spooky to me. So let me try to get online here with a poem called Getting There. Maybe you had to be there, or more likely, wanted to. It was possibly vital, a goal or destination that might have had unerring potential. Maybe you made elaborate plans, what to take and how much. You could have just gone as you were. You are pretty sure your arrival would have been important to somebody. Maybe trust could have been saved, a fence made true, or a contract signed because you got there, whether puffing and blowing desperation or gracefully early. Maybe you were chosen, an omen set your path. Maybe you took a desire, seriously getting there far ahead of yourself. Maybe there won't turn out to be like you think it is. Maybe it ought to shift for itself with you right here, breathing down to the hairs of your body. Okay, I feel like I'm here now. Let's talk about dogs. You gotta love them. Ages ago, they made a pact with us, and they've pretty much kept their end of the deal. But everybody knows it can't just be any dog, it has to be the right dog. And your right dog probably isn't the same as mine, but here's mine. The right dog. To greet peacekeepers as equals and scout out approaching evil, give us a dog with a good nose for intentions. One with plenty of genetic tangle in its history and enough wolf spark to carry itself as if it belonged to the world at large. Let us have a dog who waits for the right signal, but knows how to play. And when sitting side by side, this dog leans on you just a little to let you know. Hear some people talk. Humans know everything already, and it's just a matter of fixing things up to our comfort and convenience. That seems kind of simple-minded to me. It sort of limits the imagination. I guess I first started questioning that when I read a a very strong declarative statement that the Inuit have 100 words for snow. And I kind of doubted that that was all there was to that. So this is called simple. No one really knows how many words the Inuit have for snow, since it has not yet stopped snowing. Corn is our mother, now toyed with and violated. A false mother has been made in her place. The measurements called time are a convenient fairy tale. Stones live so slowly, one breath spans generations. Seated at a rushing riverside, the girl's hands dart and pounce above the water, playing a piano that lives in her fingertips. Some snows are anonymous, content in their being. Sometimes life just throws a slider to you. It's almost like a poem that doesn't get written down. And it can result in a shift of identity. For example, when I was 20, I was part of a custom wheat cutting crew. And one day in Hayes, Kansas, it was raining and we couldn't harvest. So it was going to town to the pool hall and shoot some pool and have a beer. So we did. And I looked younger, so I was used to getting carded. So sure enough, the old grizzled dude behind the bar said, "Well, I'm going to have to see some ID on you, son." So I had my draft card, and it has name, address, date of birth, place of birth. And under place of birth, I was born in Mitchell, South Dakota. So it has Mitchell, comma, capital S period, capital D-A-K period. So this old fellow looks at the card and says, "Michael S. Dack. Okay, Mike, I guess you're old enough. What do you have?" So from that on, that summer, I was Michael S. Dack, or Mike Dack. It's kind of a virile, smacking sound to it. I liked it. I thought I ought to become a private eye or something. Or, Sergeant Mike Dack, homicide. But at any rate, this also can happen consciously. Somebody might do it in the way of a lesson. So this is called The Master Makes a Point. X and Y visit a farm of friends in the swelter of July. X, in sneakers and heat-sagged jeans, digs in the garden, streaming sweat. Y lolls in a lawn chair, mirror sunglasses and cutoffs, beer in one hand, smoke in the other, a sip here, a drag there, breaking little sweat. "Damn," thinks X, "it's hot. Here I am helping out." And Y thinks he's at the beach. With every shovel thrust, X feels more superior. Heading for the farmhouse to rehydrate, he passes in front of Y, sweaty back bowed, shovel dragging, as if it too has been depleted by the nobility of labor. X drinks cool water, glances out the window at Y, still in repose, thinks, "Damn, Y ain't doing shit." Returning to his labors, X drags past again, shovel bumping listlessly behind. Every cell sighs righteous weariness. Y examines the dramatic exhaustion shambling by, notes the swollen ego resentment, and sticks a pin in it with his best fake baronial Texan drawl. "When you get done there, Gomez, you can dig me a swimming pool." Boy with gun. First a sparrow and a small coppery sphere. Sometimes momentary shame loses to the power to make things fall. He grows in the romance of velocity and range. This boy a question, and this gun the answer. We know nothing of who or what he may target, or in the name of who or what. We do know he believes he knows a truth he will soon reveal. This boy with no more questions, and this gun with all the answers. I like the birds, so here's a poem called Talking with Birds. The journey is difficult. The sojourner needs an encouraging song. You are checking your maps in a stutter of wind when robins land with a flounce and right away begin to testify. Red, blue, and black, known for their simplicity, have little to say. The eternal question softly loaded in each wing. At a choice of crossroads, larks and doves conjure courtship and loss to guide your path. You call out salutes for the gaze of hawks and sweet nothings to countless little brown birds cleverly disguised as each other. You walk on even though it's all a dream caught in the rush of stars. Somewhere along the way, you think you get the raven's joke. Sometimes I think about love, part of the job description. And I wondered, well, just because humans can recognize this and define it, does that imply that we're the only ones capable of it? I wondered, can anything be in love? And it's probably easy to think of maybe two horses in love. But, what about something like hyenas? Can hyenas be in love? And if it could be said of two people they were in love like hyenas, what would that mean? So you can see I kind of got lost in this, and this is called Hyena Love. There we were, cavorting like hyenas in a snowstorm, biting the air with our wicked smiles, nipping and tumbling and slobbering up the landscape. Yes, hyena love is reeking hot as volcanic breath, a frenzy of laughter and ridiculous passion. They say there is nothing sadder than a hyena with a broken heart, but we know better, don't we, wild howler? Leaping time and space, the same moon informs us we will always be each other's beautiful, laughing scavenger. Those poems are from Creature Way by Spartan Press. And do a little side trip now into a book called The Monkey of Mulberry Pass. This is a book of poems written through the consciousness of a pet monkey in a frontier Kansas whorehouse in about 1876. There is a Mulberry Pass. It's between Salina and Ellsworth, Kansas. And there is, or was, a shell of a 2-story sandstone house there that some of the old-timers suggested had a bit of a shady past. So I just took over the whole thing and wrote this book. This monkey, his world is the parlor and what he can see through the window. Mulberry Pass. Kansas, they call this place, where most are only stopping. The cowboys all want Texas. The girls all dream of Denver, a rolling skin of soft, long hills. Sky is all the rest. And the banker deals the money, lawyer pleads the case, doctor, preacher, undertaker, wounds, souls, final holes, these all stay. The house at Mulberry Pass in winter is theirs, where thin-blooded afternoons of cold eyes, lazy and fat, they smoke in the parlor and speculate the number of loads of firewood in any tree, the pelts living in the river, the market value of a monkey skin. Sailor. There's a parrot here, bald as a baby, who screams at random, "Hey, sailor!" Chained across the room, he tries killing cowboys with his axe of a beak. To the girls he becomes, in order to be fed, a dove. Brilliant blue, yellow, and white, tracings of red, sailor lunges his naked vulture head, clacks at the brim of a hat. He has trained them to know him as that crazy bald parrot. Speechless monkeys get away with pretending to stupidity, but sailor, cursed with words to survive the human mind, must pretend insanity. Yellow wolf. I feel your grinning eyes penetrate my sleep beyond the lace and watery glass. Moon-colored, breathing trails of fog, how long have you sat through the window pondering a sleeping monkey? Clever, they say, but cowardly, and you roll on things long dead. Tonight, your ringing eyes speak only of hunger. Yellow wolf, I hear your song sometimes. I know your jaws have plans, but I will not shit, scream, or somersault to bring girls thundering with yellow light. Now that you have found me, to memorize your shape and ways, I put my face to the window glass. Jojo, the whorehouse monkey, will contest your stare. And I hold the better hand, old brother. Your world cannot wait, and mine does nothing else. Wild geese. They say to each other when flying, I am here, I am here, I am here. So the moving arc narrows to a point against the wind, spreads out in calm. Sometimes their distant gossip shakes sailor, and he calls to the sailors among them. Mary mentions Big Nose Ed because the birds will fly to Texas. Genevieve says, I ate roast goose every Sunday once. Russian seeds in the palm of her hand, Dora picks shell from her lips and announces her absolute indifference to geese. Maddie, looking to the window, is slowed, then lost in the wallpaper flowers. Susie wants to know, do they really mate for life? And Martha fears some fool of a man showing up, dead goose hanging by its neck from his fist, for her to pluck, clean, and cook while he plunges upstairs, while I think of the geese saying, I am here, each one knowing exactly where. Whiskey Man. When the boys stop at Mulberry Pass, groaning with sperm and reeking of cattle, somebody buys me a beer. At first I drank to amuse them, later to amuse myself, dropping from the T-bar to swing slowly by the elegant straps at my ankles. One, to burn my brain, gave me a jigger of whiskey I smelled but would not drink, showing him my teeth until he went upstairs. It seemed natural then to tip some out and piss it back to the brim. When they came down, groaning like cattle and reeking of sperm, he grabbed the glass, tossed it back, wiped his lips, said, well, you wrinkle-eyed son of a bitch, what are you looking at? Just before the aftertaste backed up his throat, and what he dared not know, he knew. All guns are left out in the hall, or I would have been long ago. Yours truly, Jojo, the dead whorehouse monkey. That's The Monkey of Mulberry Pass from Woodley Press. And We could go through and meet the ladies, and Big Nose Ed and other people who come and go. And there's a fire. Whiskey Man returns for revenge. But I don't want to be a spoiler for those people who want to discover further. I'll read some poems now from The Mercy of Distance from Hanging Loose Press. And we'll start with the title poem, The Mercy of Distance. The history of a barn resides in tiny flakes of hay mounded in the corners of its beams. Between the mercy of distance and the matter of time, electroplasmic echoes ride the horizon. Ghost waves of bison flash a shift of light. The wind whispers of arrows and iron, and skeletons of dreams fold into stone. The upturned boot on a midnight fence post steps its difficult way to the stars. Well, you can't be a poet in Kansas without writing a tornado poem. You know, it's got to be done. So here we go. Life change. The sky went all Michelangelo, strained and broke wild. Apples were blown from trees like cannon shot. Birds became shrapnel. He retired to his familiar bed and woke up flat on Main Street, surrounded by bricks and hysterical chickens. The town had already passed overhead, busting north in swirls of gray. On his chest lay a photo of someone's grandmother, and several animal hairs were stuck in his thumbs. Slowly creaking, he stood, shedding dust and feathers to watch the remnants soak into the horizon. One by one, birds began to remark on the storm. It had taken his everything and left him with sore thumbs and a surrogate granny. The beginnings of a new history. To start things off, one of the chickens laid an egg. You've probably heard the phrase, "hold my beer." It's a famous phrase that usually precedes a disaster of some kind. Hold my beer. Just before diving off the cliff into the stones of unknown waters, hold my beer. The last command as he balanced the fireworks motor on top of his head and cranked his Zippo. Hold my beer. Hold my beer. I've been practicing my quick draw. In 2017, 5 U.S. males shot their penises off. Hold my beer. While I check this out, jump across, hook it up, challenge this animal, see why it didn't go off. A moment later, there is the beer, the new owner of the beer, the woozy echo of unconsidered impulse. America. We who stand fast are still here, but we will no longer hold your beer. I like history, and I like to think how things might have gone instead of maybe how they did. The invention of the doorway. The wall came first. People soon got tired of taking down the rocks, going in, then putting the rocks back up again. A person had a thought. What was needed was a hole in matter, she said. Long after the people had stoned her to death, they began to consider the idea. When it was found to work, The scariest person claimed it and called it doorway. This person had power, but the tribe had killed its thinker. The door was not invented for another 500 years. Taking instruction. Sometimes poets write about poetry, and I guess that's what this is. Taking instruction. 1. On a distant rainy July morning, my mother was screaming her ass off. I had arrived. You might say, this isn't poetry. Maybe not. My mother was shouting the exact same phrase as she grunted yet another poet into the world. 2. Poetry began to tease me the morning it took me over an hour to walk the block to my kindergarten class. I stood at my interrogation with no way to explain the beauty and mystery of sidewalks. 3. Wherein I learned to play well with others. My teachers, Dick and Jane, live in a world without genitals where no one breaks the law. I believe it all until poetry takes me aside. 4. Politically, I discovered that unlike tyrant kings of old, the President of the United States was responsible for wiping his own fundament. However, poetry whispered, metaphorically speaking, this is not so. 5. Poetry equals attraction equals poetry. Females were different. Didn't understand how. Began to understand how. Didn't understand how to deal with it. Don't understand how to deal with it. Poetry equals no help. 6. I moved a stick and a line followed the hand of my thoughts. Poetry dropped its cloak. Wooed and wounded by language and the magic of pencils, I began to suspect poetry had the upper hand, which was sticking my nose in everything's business. 7. Of course, I rebelled, tried to stifle poetry with grocery lists and season's greetings, master of my own fate, etc. You know how it ends. I crawled back. Poetry blew smoke in my face and down my pants, slapped my lips off and said, okay, you're official now. Bring me a poem. 8. Just before it loped off into the gloaming, poetry advised, don't go to school on my account. Just pay attention. If you don't, I will ride you like a monkey. If you do, we'll see. Well, let's dial back now to the age of 12, a long ways away. First love, that sort of thing, you know. This is called Unrequited. On attaining my majority, the truth can now be told. Lurking on sidelines in 7th grade, I would have, as the saying went, crawled across a mile of broken glass just to sniff the tailpipe of the laundry truck that carried Judy Miller's panties, rather than speak to her. Those were the days. But laundry trucks have disappeared. So has Judy Miller, and she took her panties with her. Brothers and sisters, what did I learn? The claws of love clutch deep at 12. A scar of memory grows like a knot. And yes, the purity of ignorant desire lingers. She's out there somewhere. Judy Miller, a.k.a. Old Lady Miller, kneels to tend her irises. She's still got it. She shades her eyes. Her lips part. She says, who? I spent some time in the state of New Mexico Loved it. And it was a very, very interesting place. You are now entering New Mexico. Your first New Mexico dawn is seen from flat on your back in the middle of a deserted highway with your fly open. Because you pulled off the road outside Tucumcari and flopped into sleep. Because you awoke with bladder screaming full alert, opened the car door with one hand, zipper with the other, because you leaped out and discovered both legs were still asleep, and down you went, and there you lay. Now some sheep arrive to view the mystery you have become. Boss sheep stepping up to regard you with perfectly neutral eyes, while light pinks the mesas and bladder pleads for legs to catch up. It might as well be written on that woolly forehead, "Welcome to the land of enchantment. This is just the beginning." I saw a headline in the local paper, "Trouble brewing as hogs near paradise." Man, that's a poem waiting to happen. Well, actually, it was about a hog farm that they wanted to build near Paradise, Kansas, and the citizens weren't having it. But I took it somewhere else. Trouble brewing as hogs near paradise. Each night their fires light the hills closer to the lurid calm falling over barricades. The sleep of paradise is punctured with their cries, disasters dreamed by all but the rational, who say paradise is a state of mind, who say even hogs have a creation story. God was invited to damn hogs by a local resident. The hogs, as always the hogs, said God, when the matter was presented. Very well, what name are the hogs going by this time? But the hogs decided being damned was a state of mind and came chowing down and spewing out river after sky. Like the memory of a forest, smoke columns rise as they quench their fires in the ultimate dawn of paradise. Here they come. We can smell their desire. Birds again. This is a song called, could be a song, I guess. A poem called Little Bird To-Do List. Sing out territory, pick pests off every leaf, mate up, winkle beetles from bark, construct nest, patrol beaches, meadows, etc., feed and teach young, detect rhinos and ungulates, bulk up for flight, clean all crocodile teeth, dodge predators, grab bite here and there, maintain glorious unconcern. And I think I'll close with a short poem called Hold Tight. My friend in life, you were the spark and I was the ember. My friend in passing, the wings fall silent. My friend in death, our words still reach, our dreams still touch. Hold tight. Thank you, and I hope our moments cross again.